Cypress Financial Group presents the Retirement Roundtable Podcast with John Scallan. Get more at cypressfinancial.net. Now, let's get to the show.
John, this weekend, I kind of want to get off script a little bit and talk to you about some of the calls and some of the questions that you get on a consistent basis. First and foremost, John, how you doing this weekend?
I do very well, my friend. It's a beautiful morning. Glad to be hanging out with you. Honor and a privilege, man.
I think a big question that a lot of adults have, I have it, I think you have it, a lot of people want to know, proud to live in this country, but John, is the American dream still attainable?
Whew. Mark, every show you throw me a curveball that I'm not ready for. Look, man, I have some real strong feelings on this subject. Here's what I would say. Absolutely not. The American dream is not dead. I mean, I have adult children. I have grandchildren. I talk to them every day or as often as they'll let me, okay, about what it takes to really build a successful life in this country. I mean, I'm always telling them, just think about how lucky we are to have been born in America, to have, the opportunities that we have just for being a citizen here. Mm-hmm. I tell them it's no joke. It's not an accident that people are risking their lives, swimming through rivers, jumping fences to try to get into our country. From my perspective, the American dream is alive and well. That is one of our mission statements here at Cypress Financial. We believe that we are destined and our job is to help people live this dream, to maximize their income, to save as much as they can on taxes. We are just I can't tell you how thrilled we are, how lucky we feel to be in this position to help Americans, and especially people in South Louisiana, be a good steward of the money that they've accumulated, be a good steward of the assets that they hope to pass on to their families. I know this is a noisy world. I know we have a lot of political polarization, but when you drown out the noise or quit listening to all the noise, this 24-hour news cycle, and really focus on what we have, I believe from the bottom of my heart, we are still the greatest country ever in the history of mankind, where, we still have freedom to think and to speak. We still have the freedom to work hard and build a career, build a life. We have the freedom to worship, freedom of religion. Yeah. All of this we take for granted. But when I'm in prayer and I'm in gratitude, listen, we still have the American dream. It is alive and well, my friend.
You scared me there at the very beginning because I said, is the American dream still obtainable? And you said, absolutely not. I went, okay. And then you go, it's absolutely not dead. We can find your American dream. And I love that about you, John Scallan. You're proud of this country. You're proud to be here in Southern Louisiana. I want to get to that in just a couple of seconds, but you just mentioned something there about the noise. And John, you're 1,000% correct. That noise is in our face 24/7. So do you have to play therapist with some of the families you serve about their finances when they say, yeah, but Fox News said this, but MS Now said this, but I read on Twitter or Facebook this? John, do you find yourself having to calm people down from all of this noise and say, let's build a plan, let's stick to the plan, you got to ignore the noise?
That's a conversation that we have very often. I just want to share this. I had a really brilliant professor when I was attending school at LSU, and he said something that I've heard once or twice over the past, many, many years. But what he said, John, stand guard at the door of your mind. And I said, Professor Williams, what does that mean? He said, what are you reading? What are you listening to? Who are your friends? Where do you worship? You can't just let anything that's out there in media or print really influence the direction of your life. And I said, well, what should influence the direction of your life? He said, it's your heart. It's your soul. I have never forgotten that. Anytime the news gets too loud or the noise gets too loud, listen, I walk away and I read books of hope and truth and adventure and of the people that built this great nation. And it always inspires me to keep going, to continue to work with our clients. Back to your question about our clients, listen, all the time, people come in and the noise really puts them in a fearful state. One of the things we do in some of those meetings is we go back through history, look at what the market has done, look at what interest rates have done, look at how the tax code changes over and over again. In many cases, these financial cycles and the news cycles, I know they're louder than they have been in the past, but again, I always take our clients through history, show them from a financial perspective what has happened. And I think the point we all come to is we need to build a plan that is manageable and that is flexible, a plan that we can change, a plan that we can adapt to the noise, the tax code, what's going on in the markets. There are proven solutions to help people steer their financial ship into calm waters and have a great, great chapter of their lives called retirement.
It's not lost on me the irony that we're talking about the noise that's in our face all the time at the same time that a siren goes on outside of your window, John Scallan.
I think they're coming for me, Mark.
About to say, boy, you couldn't have timed that one any better.
It's the ambulance or the police. I don't know which one
or
it is.
the other. Well, it's been a good run. 504-732-1001, helping to cut out some of all the noise that's just in our face regarding your financial future. That initial consultation, all it's going to cost you is the time it takes to make the phone call. John, you just mentioned it a couple of minutes ago about how proud you are to be here in Louisiana, Southern Louisiana. You spent time at LSU, your alma mater, how much you love them Tigers. But exactly what got you here? We know you live here, you work here, you play here. This is not a nationally syndicated show that runs all across the Gulf and up and down the East Coast and across the Midwest. This is here to serve the people of Southern Louisiana. But what got you to this point of building financial futures, of creating plans for adults to and through retirement?
Oof, Mark, how far back do you want me to go?
It all started in 1895 when Papa Scallan.
I can go back to when my brother was stealing my quarters and I wanted to develop strategies on how to keep my money. Mark, that's a really fascinating question. I'm a real big believer in education. I'm a real proponent of quality education, quality teachers. Early on, I think about, some of the math classes in high school, how I was just drawn to the X's and O's. Mark, there was a class at LSU, a finance class, and we did a deep dive. I can remember the room that I was in. I can remember the instructor, and they were just talking about, how to build a financial plan. My head almost exploded. I went to school thinking, I might want to be a doctor. I might want to be a lawyer, pretty naive. I really didn't know what I wanted, but I think it was that moment in school where I was just overwhelmed with the feeling that my career path should be finance. Mark, I take it a little further. Again, these are just, I guess, some critical points in my development as an advisor. My brother had brought me into, the finance side of the insurance business. There was one of the biggest financial institutions in the country. I was, really excited about their products, what they did for my clients, I had done enough business with them where they invited me to work inside as an internal, basically an advisor who would be teaching other advisors, how these products worked. I literally spent 4 years to the tune of about 100 phone calls a day from advisors. And this is where I really learned how to design portfolios. Every day was different. Every financial scenario that our agents were asking us to help develop, I had my hands in the middle of it. I learned literally tens of thousands of cases and financial plans. And, Mark, I'm going to tell you the real thing that kept me in this business forever was probably 5 years after I left that organization. I think my father finally had enough confidence. He bought annuities. He bought a life insurance contract. I'll make this story quick, but it's one of the pivotal points of my life. My father decided to put him into a life insurance contract that would not only pay a benefit if he died, but also if he got sick. This was one of the earliest forms of the products that are really common today. Well, he walks into Ochsner Hospital in New Orleans one day, does blood work, leaves the hospital. They call him, a few hours later, and they said, Mr. Scallan, we need you to come back to the hospital right away. He goes back, sits down with the doctor. He said, Al, I've got bad news. You've got terminal leukemia. You have 6 months to live. Get your affairs in order. Obviously, the whole family was, shell-shocked. But I realized, moments after that he had a product that had a terminal illness rider. The bottom line is he had a $500,000 death benefit. With that diagnosis, he was able to withdraw 90% of the face amount while he was alive. He pulled the terminal illness rider. He received $450,000. But here's the kicker. He lived for 12 years. What I saw him do with his remaining 12 years, spoil the grandkids, travel with my mother, buy a sports car, plan for my mother's future. This one decision, one financial decision, one critical and key financial decision allowed the trajectory of his life to be on his terms, his life, his way. I guess the impact of that one decision and the impact that it had for my mother, our siblings, and his peace of mind changed my life. I knew I was never going to leave this industry, and it truly has inspired me to continue to work with clients and help them. Now, maybe these scenarios are not as dire as my dad's situation was, but again, I've seen up close, I've felt it. I felt the pain. I saw the relief. This is what continues to drive me today. How can we help people move the needle and build a better financial future?
Damn, John. That's a hell of a story right there, man. Thank you for opening up. That's just fascinating, a little peek inside of John Scallan, what makes you who you are. I mean, from 6 months diagnosis to 12 years of living.
It was truly a blessing, Mark. Truly a gift for the entire family, and I'll never forget it.
Forget it. So we're telling stories about our pops here. Same thing happened to my dad. Diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer, and same thing. They gave him weeks after he was diagnosed. I think they gave him 2 months, and he made it for 3. But I will say though, we had that 3 months, and it was a good 3 months, John, because he was able to spend time with the grandkids, spend time with his boys, spend time with his wife. And he was able to get the affairs in order. And not everybody is as lucky as that. And I say lucky in a weird way. He was lucky that it wasn't a car crash or a heart attack or something like that we still had a little bit of time with Pops. The same way with you and your father. Yeah, they said
to tell him you loved him and to say goodbye.
Exactly.
Right?
But the good part about all that is, and how I'm kind of bringing that all back to what you do at Cypress Financial, is that he had the plan in place. He was able to quote unquote, get his affairs in order. Talk to the financial advisor that he was working with, making sure that financially everything that was going to happen in the future, from death to moving on, was taken care of. One less thing, one less burden on my stepmom, on me and my two older brothers. We had a plan in place. And
all driven by that one key decision.
Yep.
So in these meetings, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mark,
yeah.
I'm just compelled to share. I mean, that's what we're thinking about. Sometimes people come in with a pile of stuff and we have a huge amount of work to do, which, by the way, we are thrilled and feel privileged to be able to do it. But in some cases, it might be better tax planning. It might be one smaller thing, when to pull Roth, when to, how long do I work? Who pulls Social Security first? These little decisions can have a major impact on our clients' lives, and that's why we're in this business.
John, what's the biggest joy for what you do, for the families you serve and the community that you serve at Cypress Financial?
Well, Mark, I think I get we have a weekly meeting with the entire staff, and we talk about, again, not only the X's and O's, but we talk about the wins for our clients, right? We talk about, people who are potentially both going to pull Social Security at 62, but didn't realize that if they did that, they have an income cap of only $25,000 before they start losing some of their Social Security. We talk about, the wins for our clients where they are making strategic moves 2 and 3 years in advance. I mean, Mark, what really gives us satisfaction as a firm, building the plan, changing the plan when it's necessary. But I guess, Mark, if I were to say our biggest joy, it's building these lifelong relationships. People who trust us, we trust them. We are with them through marriages and births and the loss of people they love. We're with them through this unique phase of transitioning to retirement. It's a lot. I can't tell you that every day in this office is, flowers and rainbows, because it's not. It's hard work. There are periods of market volatility and extended times in the market where people's portfolios are upside down. This is painful. People are afraid. But again, solving these problems, helping them with liquidity, helping them with diversification, these are the times that we cherish the most. These are the times where, when we feel like we are really moving the needle, I think that's when we get the most satisfaction for being in this profession.
Yeah, not all the conversations. I love that you said that, though, because not all the conversations are going to be puppies and rainbows and sprinkles and unicorns. There's going to be some tough decisions. And there may be some days you walk away from John going, God, I hate that guy. But at the end of the day, it's all about working on a plan together, because you're in this together from the very first phone call until the very end. And you've mentioned, and I don't mean to speak out of turn here, but you've mentioned it before, that one of the biggest joys that you get is getting that Evite or that card in the mail to a retirement party, because that means work has been done.
Oh, man, work has been done. I mean, yes. The stages of life. I mean, I think, everyone tends to reflect a little bit on their lives. Many times it's when there's a funeral. Many times it's at a wedding. But I think the older that you get, the more you start to realize that, the commodity, the most valuable commodity we have, it's not money, it is time. It's time. How much time do we have, and how are we going to spend this time? What we have chosen to do at Cypress is to spend time with the people of South Louisiana. We've been so privileged with the life we've been given. I know I am. I mean, I've been blessed with so much. Continuing to work with people, continuing to work in this industry, it's just icing on the cake, Mark. It has, again, been a privilege to work in this industry and serve the people of South Louisiana.
investment advisory services offered through Cypress Financial Group, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Cypress Financial Group, John Scallan, Louisiana Insurance License Number 1064997. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Cypress Financial Group. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties.